This is Friday Evening's Undercard. On our wrestling show today, Gorilla Monsoon gives a bad anatomy lesson, Bobby Heenan talks about buying Ken Patera a retirement home, and Lanny Poffo reads a poem. Welcome, Wrestling Fanda, for Friday Evening's Undercard. I'm John. On the other end of the line, it's electrifying Eric. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We've been talking a little bit about All Elite Wrestling before we really started recording here, but we won't get into that. That's a lot of stuff going on there, and we could talk for hours about the show and everything they got going on. But what we're talking about is 1987 WWF.
More specifically, May 25th, 1987.
May 25th, 1987, yep. Did you see the Bobby Heenan doll in that opening little montage thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Where they just took like the medical tape and made it like a neck brace on his little doll.
And, I mean, once again, that was kind of like a nice nostalgia pop for me, because, I mean, I had some of those action figures back in the day. Like, that was kind of cool to see. Like,
well, now
you kind of forget about that.
Those were the original action figures, right?
Yeah.
The ones that didn't really move. Because eventually they had the one where, you know, Hulk Hogan and Warrior were doing like the overhead press and they could throw them and stuff like that.
Yeah, but these were the ones that were like kind of like the soft plastic that had a little bend to them, but they're not really moving. So,
you know, I don't remember ever having any of these for WWF. I do remember having some of them for WCW.
See, WCW was the same style there. So, yeah, it always made it hard when I tried to do my super cards with the hard plastic WWF guys against the WCW guys. But, you know, you made it work.
You know, I don't even remember which one of the WCW ones I had. I know I had Sting and I know I had Sid Vicious. But I can't remember who else. I had a ton of those hard plastic WWF ones. A lot of people you see on these shows here, I mean, Hulk Hogan and Warrior and the Rockers and the Bushwhackers and, oh, God, I don't even remember who else.
I had a Virgil.
I don't remember if I have Virgil. I am thinking now. I know I had the Big Boss Man and I had the Mountie.
It was pretty impressive. Virgil, he just did a punch. That was it.
That's about his only move.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess, you know. And then, you know, had I known, I would have just always had him, like, you know, I would have built a little table for him with Wrestling Superstar. And I would have been more authentic.
Well, so that was one of the funny lines that came out of the Jericho interview with John Moxley, Dean Ambrose. And we'll get back to the real show in a minute. They were talking about how much they were getting paid for, like, some of these little spot shows that they were working. Apparently, Ambrose got paid $500 for that special, that WWE Network special that they did in Milwaukee or wherever it was, that like tribute to the Shield or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he said he got $500 and he didn't even cash the check. He's just like keeps it around. And he looks at it just to be funny. But Jericho said he got paid like $750 to do some shot somewhere. I don't remember where he said, and he's like, "Dude, Vince, you're only paying me like $750. Can I set a table up in the back to sell stuff?" Like Virgil. He actually name dropped Virgil.
That's awesome.
Because Jericho actually probably could make some money. He could bring like some records and stuff in there and could probably actually make some money. But anyway, did you have anything from that first segment? I thought it was hilarious that they took like the medical tape and gave the fake neck brace to the
I think that says it for itself. Now, I mean, I think, you know, talking about former stars of old like Virgil, I mean, you know, this is a little before Virgil's time, but man, he would have fit right into this episode, because I don't know if I'm watching primetime wrestling or like a really bad Heroes of Wrestling from like 2000.
Yeah, there's a lot of job guys. There's a lot of job guys in this episode.
Spoiler alert, folks, if you're, you know, looking forward to seeing what's happening in this episode, this is not like the name of names here. So
no, I think arguably the biggest names are probably in this first match.
Yeah, or one's later getting basically a hip replacement.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's segment 2. So
yeah, that tells you where this show's going.
We're getting the big names out of the way quick.
So let's get these legends of wrestling. Let's get them in the ring here. Who we got for first match?
Well, so the first match you have a member of the Four Horsemen. That's the biggest thing he's got going for him. Paul Roma and Jim Powers going against Don Muraco and Bob Orton.
That's a main event anywhere in the world.
Main event anywhere in the world. And it was on the show at Madison Square Garden, so the New York crowd was loving this. And that was May the 18th of 1987, so this is actually a pretty recent card. 16,800 people in attendance. That's kind of low for the Garden, honestly. And you got Lord Alfred Hayes, Gorilla Monsoon, and Bobby Heenan on the commentary.
So fairly, nothing really spectacular about this match per se.
No.
And that's going to be a recurring theme for this episode, by the way.
I do have a note that Orton did, he almost did a Ric Flair flop.
Yeah, he did.
He walks it out of the corner and then just dives. Another relatively impressive thing, he did a really, really long vertical suplex. Bob Orton held Paul Roma in that suplex for a long time. And actually, I think he suplexed him in from outside the ropes.
Well, and I think that kind of went to the story they were trying to tell. I mean, you're having kind of two underdog guys that kind of look outmatched, but they're going to, they're basically going to get the win. So, it looks like they're trying to maybe, I don't know if this is maybe the WWF trying to, see how, these guys might be Roma or Jim Powers, maybe kind of be an underdog mid-card guy, and kind of testing that out. But you can see they're at least trying that here. And I think, like you said, holding that vertical suplex for so long, that just kind of plays into that story. Like, we're just toying with you guys. And then all of a sudden, the underdogs get the win.
Yeah, the other big thing that I saw in the episode, Muraco tried the diving headbutt. He tried to come off the second rope because obviously Morocco's pretty big. He's not coming off the top. He tried to come off the second rope and missed that. And we got an anatomy lesson from Gorilla Monsoon. And like most of Gorilla's anatomy lessons, it wasn't right. He tried to say that because Orton's wearing that big the gimmick on his upper leg. He said that Muraco. Did I say Muraco or did I say Orton had the gimmick bandage on his leg?
I think you said Orton.
Yeah, whatever. I probably did. Orton's probably still got the cast on, and I just didn't see it. Yeah, Muraco's got the gimmick bandage on his leg, and Gorilla's like, well, he's got a torn gastrocnemius. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's the wrong muscle, Gorilla. Because he's trying to say he's got a torn hamstring, which does actually have a real muscular name. It's not that one. If you're wondering what that one is, it's your calf muscle. Just so you know, kids. And it's like G.I. Joe, right? Knowing's half the battle.
I learned most of what I learned in life about anatomy from Gorilla Monsoon, actually. You don't know how many times I've called off work saying, hey, I can't come in today. I got messed up my solar plexus.
The occipital protuberance.
Yeah, I can't come in, man. I mean, it beats saying I have the hot snakes. So
that's true.
Oh,
man.
Maybe we should do an episode, maybe the very best of, or maybe Gorilla Monsoon explains human anatomy.
Monsoon explains anatomy. Yeah, we could just take notes. Maybe like every 15th or 20th episode we come out with, we could do that.
Yeah.
We could just make notes as we go through these. What was the other one? We talked about something last week that we were gonna. What was it we talked about last week that we were gonna do like a best of?
That's a good question.
We'll
go back and listen to the show.
I probably should have wrote that down.
Well, we recorded it, so why write it down?
Yeah, that's true. I know we said we were going to petition the WWE Vault to give us the best of Virgil.
Well, yeah.
That's probably a short DVD.
So I guess we could probably go ahead and wrap this one up.
Yeah. The match ends kind of on a screwy finish. Don Muraco flips over a small package. He thought he was flipping Orton on the top, but actually he flipped Orton to the mat. and Powers and Roma pick up the win. And then, of course, they get beat down after the match. And that's that.
Yep. So I guess we'll move on to a special report.
Yeah, we get a special report of superstar Billy Graham. We get footage of a match where he's beating up some job guy, and I don't know if they were showing this as the match where he got hurt, but I actually think it is. I think this is the match where he got hurt one of the times. He got kind of hurt twice, but I think this is the one where he got hurt and he blew his hip out the first time. But he gets the win over the job guy, and then they do the vignettes where they're in the hospital with the doctor and they're explaining what's going to have to happen. I'm sure that was a gimmick doctor, by the way. And they're talking about what the surgery is going to entail. And then, of course, you get a great promo from Billy afterwards where he's, saying that, whatever, I'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, very, I think sort of a very typical, hey, hopefully we're going to, sow the seeds for if he is able to come back from this, great.
Yeah.
But, let's face it, this is 87. If you do something to your hip, you're probably not coming back.
Yeah, even now. If you have to get a full replacement like he did.
Yeah, I mean, ask Bo Jackson what a hip injury will do to you.
Yeah, completely take you out. Billy Graham obviously has become somewhat of an interesting figure in wrestling in recent years because, I don't know. It's like he just complains about everything. I think he's still bitter that they had Backlund beat him for the title or something.
Yeah, and I think, too, it's one of those things, like, what's he really done in the last 20 years to even be quasi-relevant?
Oh, yeah. It's just it reeks of just being like a bitter old guy. I know I saw one time where he wanted money to do like an interview for a book that somebody was trying to write, which I've never heard of anybody asking for money for a book interview.
No.
And obviously you've got more experience with that than I do, but I've never heard even like high level people like it's unheard of, right?
No, I mean, even if you're like in most cases, if you're gonna get the interview, you give them a comp to copy your book. Like, your payment is the advertising you're getting for the interview.
Yeah.
Like, you're not. It's like, hey, buy my book and then I'll talk to you, or give me money and I'll talk to you. It doesn't work that way.
And then what else? He said something like that he thought Kofi should take some steroids. And
yeah,
I read that and I'm like, it's like, because Billy's on record that he did steroids, right?
Well, even if he wasn't, you have to be an idiot if you think he didn't.
Yeah, So obviously Billy Graham was on steroids, and it's like he forgets that they're not like miracle pills, right? Like,
yeah,
you don't just like me. Obviously, I'm not a pro wrestler, but I can't go to wherever you get anabolic steroids from. Like, I can't.
Steroid store.
Yeah, the steroid store, right? Like, I can't go there and inject myself in the backside 3 or 4 times and look like Hulk Hogan in a week. Like, it doesn't happen that way. It's like he forgets that.
Well, because to look like Hogan, you got to take the shot of steroids, but also, say your prayers, train, and eat your vitamins.
And believe in yourself.
And America.
Yeah, I could go on. Billy Graham had like some bad comments about Ronda Rousey, and then I forget what his most recent one was, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's just, he's sort of one of the sad figures of wrestling past. And actually, deep down, it's like, hey, Billy, if maybe you would have laid off the juice, maybe your hip wouldn't have blown out.
Honestly, though, I really don't think you can blame that on steroids. I mean, maybe, but, like, I'll guarantee you Arnold Schwarzenegger did just as much as Billy did. Same thing with Hulk. Same thing with, whatever. There's no reason to name. I mean, those two are pretty well on record, admitting that they used pretty significantly. But And all these Mr. Olympia competitors, like none of them have had this kind of hip stuff. I mean, Ronnie Coleman has, but he's really the only one.
Well, I think the issue is, I mean, it depends on how you're working, and I mean, I think we all know that if you are taking that, it does put a lot of strain on any of your joints in your body. I mean, not saying it caused it, but it probably didn't help matters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the training helped, obviously, but it's not something that you can pin directly on the steroids because, pretty much Billy Graham and Ronnie Coleman must be something with that last name Coleman. They're really the only ones who ended up with just blown out hips and stuff like that. Because, I mean, yeah, Hulk Hogan's got a bad back, but that came from doing leg drops 300 nights a year for 20 years.
Oh, I thought that was from Simon Andre.
No, he just tore his lat when he slammed Andre.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we did actually learn after the special report of, so much today. They told we're getting a second opinion or, trying alternative medicine. I think the recommendation that Heenan said for a new fan belt and oil change was what he should have done.
That's absolutely what he should have done. I forgot Heenan said that. I didn't write that down. It just kind of slipped by me.
Once again, the brilliance of Bobby the Brain Heenan.
The brilliance of Bobby the Brain Heenan. So anyway, now that we're done with that Billy Graham segment, we get a match with Outback Jack against Frenchy Martin.
Man, this is a 5-star classic.
5-star classic. Now I'm gonna get the particulars out of the way here real quick. Maple Leaf Gardens, May 17th of '87. No attendance figure. Heenan and Monsoon on commentary. I would assume this is probably 15 or so thousand people in attendance because the Maple Leaf Garden was a good draw. So this is not the first time we've seen Outback Jack on the show. Did this look like the same Outback Jack we've seen before?
It did not.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Well, he's bald now.
Well, he's bald and he's missing one of his front teeth.
Well, that's because it's from the Outback.
Well, that's true. But
I mean, how else are you opening those Foster's oil cans?
But no, I was I didn't actually go and look it up. I guess I could have. I'm honestly wondering if this was the same guy that we saw playing Outback Jack earlier, because obviously back in this time you could do a little switcheroo like that and nobody would really notice.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're bringing out a fake Razor or a fake Diesel.
Cornette went on for like 20 minutes on his show this week about that.
I'm sure that still keeps him up at night.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I think we've talked longer than really this match even went on.
I don't know if we have. This was a pretty long match. It felt like it went on for an eternity. But anyway, we will mercifully end the conversation on it by saying that Outback Jack wins with a clothesline to the back of the head.
Sounds safe.
I was going to say, and by the way, that is a move that could disable a person legitimately if you don't hit it right.
But remember, folks, be a star.
Be a star. Actually, a move not too dissimilar to that is what put Paige out of action. I mean, she was kicked, but it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same mechanism. All right, the next match, we go back to Madison Square Garden, same date as before. So obviously you have Alfred Hayes, Heenan, and Monsoon on the commentary. You get Sam Hughes against Terry Gibbs. Main event.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive that Sam Houston, former governor of Tennessee and Texas, headline the show at MSG
in 1987. Even
1987. Yeah, that's even more impressive.
And actually, I should note, this was not the headliner. This was actually the opening match.
Well,
so he was jerking the curtain at MSG in '87.
Well, in Sam Houston's defense, I mean, he hadn't been governor of Texas since 1861. Oh, wait, we're talking about the pro wrestler Sam Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that shows you how memorable this match is.
Yeah, that's for sure. Actually, probably the most memorable thing to me from the whole match was the fact that at the Garden, you had not only somebody other than Howard Finkel as the ring announcer, but it was an African-American guy as the ring announcer. That actually shocked me enough that I stopped and wrote it down. I didn't notice the ring announcer for the Muraco match that was on earlier. I would assume it was the same person, but I was like, that's different. I haven't seen that on WWE before or since.
So I think we could probably move on.
Well, so Sam Houston gets booze, and he's supposed to be the babyface, but that's whatever. Houston wins. Obviously, this was his debut, but you do have a good Bobby Heenan quote to stack up in the list of those that do not age well. He was talking about King Kong Bundy from WrestleMania 3. Did you catch this one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
He goes, "Oh, Bundy, he squashed a midget. So what? It's no big deal." And I'm just like, oh, I shouldn't laugh at this, but I am.
Well, you know what? We're going to laugh at it.
Oh, gosh. So with that, we go to an interview with Mean Gene Okerlund and Brutus Beefcake.
You know, could we argue Brother Brudai was the biggest star on the show tonight?
Possibly. I don't know. Let's turn the page here, see who else we got. Yeah. He was probably the biggest star. Definitely had sort of the longest run as even a mid-carder.
I mean, what does that say when that's your star power?
Probably the most memorable part of this is that Mean Gene Okerlund was calling him Beefer. Beefer. I have to assume that's how it's spelled anyway. I've never heard him called that. I have no idea what that was about.
You know, I think I'm just going to name somebody in my life Beefer.
Beefer.
So that's just your new nickname. Like, just randomly start calling him that.
Yeah, oh, what's up, Beefer? What are you calling me? Yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh, Beefer, you're crazy, man. It's just Beefer doing Beefer things.
Oh, man.
Beefer's going to do what Beefer's going to do.
Yeah, they are. And that's about all we can say about that interview.
So let's roll into another fine example of Matt excellence.
We get another tag team match, playa. The Rougeau brothers against Tiger Chung Lee and the Lost Funk brother, Jimmy Jack. This was from a Wrestling Challenge taping, so this theoretically could have been on TV somewhere else because, have mercy, this is a match I'd want to watch twice.
Oh, absolutely.
San Diego Sports Arena, May 13th of 87, and 7,500 paying people got to see this match. Heenan and Monsoon on commentary, and that was probably the best thing in the match.
Yeah, by far.
They do a crisscross spot that goes on forever. I'll be honest, I do not understand the crisscross spot. I don't get it. Why would you do that? I've honestly thought about sending a question in to Cornette and be like, dude, what's up with a crisscross spot? Like, it just, maybe I'm looking from today's point of view, but it looks stupid. Anyway, turning the page here. Yeah, Rougeau's won a quick match. Spoiler alert. Yeah, they beat the job, guys. And that's that. After that, we get, good standard American against a Russian. That'll draw money. Even if it is Corporal Kirchner against Nikolai Volkov.
Well, when the fate of, the free world hinging in the balance, I mean, this is the equivalent of the U.S. hockey team versus the Soviets at Lake Placid. That's what's hanging on here, man. It's American honor right now.
And this is in Canada even, so, we had to find neutral ground for this fight.
Yep.
Heenan and Monsoon on commentary. Obviously, during this time, it is actually really easy to pick out the Maple Leaf Garden because it has that, what we would call a WCW entrance ramp. That's probably the most unique thing about the whole match. Oh, and another unique thing, now that we're, 12 episodes in, probably seen 20 matches from the Maple Leaf Gardens, I noticed that the hard camera is in like a significantly different position than what we would consider normal nowadays. It's like up and at an angle, but that's just a little weird mechanical thing.
Yeah, what does it say about the match that when we're paying more attention to where the hard camera is
Yeah.
than the match itself?
Volkov wins. Did have a classic Bobby Heenan quote in this one. He's talking about like buying property or something like that, and he goes, "I'm buying a retirement home for Ken Patera. It's Alcatraz. I want him to feel at home."
You know, I heard a great story about Bobby Heenan this week. He would love to take, like, you know, like you're on vacation, you see like a couple out, and he would like take their picture. And, you know, this is back in the days when like you actually had film, like, or the disposable camera. Like, you don't see immediately, hey, the photo's crap, I gotta get a new one. He would purposely cut people's heads out of their photos. So, like, you know, you get these people like standing in front of, like, you know, the Magic Kingdom, and like you're there, and like, you know, he just cuts your head off.
That's awesome.
Like, to me, that's like the greatest thing ever. It's like now, like in my job, I occasionally have to take people's, you know, pictures when they're doing a tour, and like a part of me wants to do that, but I'm like, it's digital, it wouldn't work. But
yeah, they would just notice it immediately, and you'd have to take it again and look like a doofus.
Yeah, I'd look like a real beefer. You know?
Yeah, you would look like a beefer, that's for sure.
They'd be like, "Come on, beefer, get it together." But yeah, just like, I mean, I think if anything, that story shows you that Heenan, the guy you see on camera, by all accounts, is the same guy you saw off camera as well. Like that just wicked sense of humor.
Yeah, he just maybe amplified it a little bit when the camera turned on. So next we get two really great segments. We get Bobby Heenan's gimmick attorney on.
Wait, you're telling me Lance Wilshire is not a real attorney?
Well, I don't know. He may be, but he's probably not.
Well, I tell everybody my attorney is Lance Wilshire.
I hope you don't actually need him to go to court for you. Actually, though, yeah. I heard tell he might have been in partnership with Kardashian.
Oh, well,
big money.
Well, hopefully he spells all the words right in his ad.
It took me a second to get that one.
That's like the most inside joke we're gonna have in this entire show, folks.
It took me a second to get that one.
One day we'll explain that to you. So,
you know, I actually messaged him about that. I was like, dude, you got a misspelling in that ad, and he just kind of sent back like an eye roll emoji, and he was just like, daggone it, our producer, I've had issues with him for like 10 years. He always spells stuff wrong. And I'm like,
my question then is like, why does he still have a job?
Well, I mean, this is a pretty low-level outfit. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but
it's a big outfit for like what we're talking about. But in the grand scheme, it's like a two-man show, right?
But in their defense, hopefully that misspelling will still make you want to get any questions you have about divorce answered.
Yes.
So they might not be answered with correct spelling, but they will be answered.
Yeah, they will be answered. You probably want to go sit in his office and not email him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The attorney may actually be able to do it right. He can't be happy that there was a misspelling on that ad of his for like 10 weeks.
Because, man, my wife hates my guts, and you're the guy that has to defend me, and you can't spell it right. I feel good about that one, brother.
Yeah, I tell you. So anyway, moving on to happier things, you get a Lanny Poffo poem about the muscular dystrophy telethon. I didn't actually copy the poem word for word. If you want to hear it, go have a listen. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, if anything needs a poem, it's that.
Well, you know, it might actually make it a little more memorable. Maybe you would think about actually calling into the muscular dystrophy telethon.
Yeah, I miss the days of television telethons. They need to do those more often.
Man, when was the last time? I can't even remember the last time I heard of one.
Yeah, I mean, I love, like, and I'm not talking ones like with celebrities. It's like, you know, like the local, like, Little League coach is manning the phone. You know? It's like, that's the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, the people manning the phones are more intriguing than actually the acts they have. So, Actually, the more I think about it, pretty much every one of these wrestlers that has been on the show would be perfect to show up for your local TV telethon.
Yeah, pretty much. You could probably get most of these people for a pretty low fee.
You know?
Muraco might cost you a little bit because you got to fly him from Hawaii.
You know, I'm actually thinking I should do the greatest telethon ever. It'll a lot be like that 80s wrestling convention that was going on in New Jersey. So, if they can do it, we could do it.
It intrigues me to go to that, but kind of not. Because apparently Coco Ware was doing his, rap song or whatever it was, and I'm like, oh, boy. I'd travel far and wide to see that.
I'm not kidding. I actually would. Now, the only question is Frankie beatboxing?
I don't know. Can you teach a parrot to do that?
I don't know.
I'm not a bird handler.
Yeah, I'm not a bird handler. I'm not Coco Beware.
Anyway, moving on to the final match of this, mercifully the final match of this show. We get Butch Reed against Tito Santana, and this match went forever. Gosh, this was a long match. Ventura, Bruno, and that new, what's his name, Tony DeGeorge or something like that on the commentary.
Clearly a memorable figure in WWF history.
Yeah, it's the most memorable. Superstars of Wrestling taping from the Anaheim Convention Center on May 12th of 1987.
The finest convention center in all of Southern California.
Probably so. Held the World Weightlifting Championships, I think, 2 years ago. And there were 7,500 people in attendance for this WWE show, which I will promise you is more than were in attendance for the World Weightlifting Championships. Probably the highlight of the match was that when they did the camera shot, you got to see the lovely purple-dressed fedorettes at ringside.
That's pretty bad when that's the highlight.
Yeah. So there was this there was kind of a gimmick running through sort of the middle of the match. Butch Reed had like a foreign object in his hand, and he puts his hands up, and the ref comes over and inspects his trunks, and then he stuffs it down in the trunks after the ref inspects them. And that's like a common gimmick. You see that a lot. Then, of course, he pulls it out, and he punches Santana over the head of the ref, and then he hands it to Slick. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, why wasn't that the finish? Like, if you're going to have a guy, if you're going to get heat like that with a foreign object, why is that not the finish? But anyway, then they go into a really long, I mean, it had to be 2 minutes long, front headlock down on the mat. And then they come up from that, and they, you get, a close view of the ref, and he is blown up. Like, his shirt is just completely sweating. His hair is all messed up. His forehead's just drenched. I'm pretty sure the ref was more blown up than the wrestlers. Tito Santana is obviously stronger than Andy Kaufman and Ted DiBiase because he kicked out of a pile driver, and those two guys went to the hospital.
Well, it depends on who's delivering it.
Well, that's true. Jerry Lawler's pile driver will hospitalize a man, but obviously Butch Reed doesn't know how to do it.
No. He might be the natural, but he's not the natural at giving pile drivers.
You know, in the sort of vein of a pile driver, don't hold me to this, but I think it was the Young Bucks match at Double or Nothing. They did a Canadian destroyer on the ring apron.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? That's and I don't know. You know, that to me that's the kind of stuff that it's like, why do you do that? What's the point?
That's the kind of move that gets some former pro wrestlers on telethon to get him a new wheelchair.
Yeah, that's the one where, you know, the guy has to start the GoFundMe page.
Yeah,
because he can't Draws, because he can't work no more. How did Draws break his neck?
D'Lo Brown.
I don't remember that.
I forgot the exact details, but I guess something went wrong, and you know, but yeah, pretty bad stuff.
Was let me see if I can find it here. I mean, obviously you can pull up Wikipedia pretty quick here. It was a SmackDown taping in '99. I don't know. I wonder if that's. Oh, it was pre-taped and so it never aired. Anyway.
Hey, you know, random thought. Remember when we went to that Monday Night Raw back in Raleigh in 2008?
I do.
Remember D'Lo Brown was a dark match?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he came out as a dark match. Yep.
That's honestly, like, pretty much the only thing I remember from that show.
Yeah, I don't remember much else. I remember Shawn Michaels was in the advertised main event, but he was doing some big program with Jericho, and he was already pretty beat up, so they didn't actually have him do the dark main event.
Yeah. But we got to see D'Lo Brown wrestle live in a dark match, so...
Yeah, against some job guy, I'm sure.
You know, I mean, I think, I look at that, we saw Taker lose in person at WrestleMania. And we saw D'Lo Brown in a dark match. If that's not pro wrestling in a nutshell, folks, I don't know what it is.
And we saw a title change at a house show.
We did see that, yeah. We did see AJ Styles beat Kevin Owens. So fun fact, when we do go to WWE events, major moments tend to happen.
We see weird stuff, yes.
So I guess we could, get back to this match.
Oh yeah, what
Although our commentary is more entertaining than this match, folks.
What do we have here? Tito gets him in a figure 4. I have that. And then you just end up with a random draw. Ding, ding, ding.
Time limit draw.
Yeah, which is like really weird because there was like never an announced time limit, you know, just all of a sudden the bell rang.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of is it for the show. I mean, nothing really, like, my sense, the takeaway from this was nothing really was advanced.
No.
Like,
the highlights of the show were the Bobby Heenan quotes, of which there is one more.
Yeah, I mean, what does it say when, now granted, Heenan and Monsoon are great, but we've had some of these where one of the greatest promos in wrestling history was aired.
Yeah, that's true.
Not this case.
No, not this case. You did get his brother, though.
Yeah, reading a poem.
So the other one, because the whole thing with the attorney showing up was that Bobby Heenan's like trying to get Gorilla fired, I guess, which is just hilarious. But Heenan says something like, "I'm gonna take your job. You'll be climbing up trees with Siviafi, eating bananas." And the big part of the show, they announce that the World Heavyweight Champion, Hulk Hogan, will be on the show next week.
Oh, thank God we have that.
Yeah.
Brother.
But brother. And
yeah,
so,
but I mean, this is like, if this is like the ultimate post-WrestleMania slump show, this is it. Like, it's almost like, hey, we got TV this week. Oh, yeah. What's Corporal Kirshner doing this week?
Yeah. Yeah, get that guy out here. See what he's doing.
Yeah. So really, folks, go back and watch the show if you want. If you don't watch the show,
you're probably not losing anything.
You're actually ahead. You're more ahead in life than we are right now because we watched it.
Yeah, there really wasn't much going on here. Speaking, just real quick, we'll go over this since you mentioned the show that we went to at the RBC Center. There were 2 dark matches of which I cannot remember what they were. And they're not listed on Pro Fight Database. So poor D'Lo.
Well, one's D'Lo Brown.
One was D'Lo Brown, that is for sure, but I do not remember who he faced. So that one is not on here. So poor D'Lo doesn't get his credit for that. But you had Mickie James going against Katie Lee Burchill. Kofi Kingston, back when I think he was still a Jamaican.
Oh, yeah. Those were good days.
Going against Paul Burchill. Beth Phoenix beat Santino Marella. That, man, I'd have burned the chairs if I hadn't got to see that match. Speaking of burning things, CM Punk beat Kane via countout. Chris Jericho submitted Paul London, and I'm sure he was just screaming at Shawn Michaels the whole time. And then John Cena and JTG and Shad Gaspard. So, who were they? Crime Time.
There was a racially sensitive gimmick.
Not quite up there with the Gangstas, though.
It was, yeah, Be a star.
Yeah, be a star. So John Cena and Crime Time go against JBL, Ted DiBiase Jr., and Cody.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's when they were doing the... was this before or after Legacy?
Oh.
It's somewhere in that ballpark.
It would have been before.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know that is because Legacy was a thing for Mania 25, and that would have been 10 years ago.
Yeah, very true.
I had to do that quick math in my head there. So, yeah, this would have been right there. And I think they were building a feud for Cena and JBL going into the next pay-per-view. Whenever it was. I think it was actually Great American Bash.
Actually, I feel like, that was a Monday Night Raw taping. I feel like I should go back and watch that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could go back and watch it.
Yeah, like, it'd be new to me. I mean, I was there. So.
Wow. So this is crazy. Talk about a weird week for him. He worked that Raw. John Cena, he worked the Raw on that night. And then, I guess this would have been Saturday, he worked an OVW match.
Wow.
OVW Summer Sizzler Series number 4 in 2008. So this obviously would have been before they cut the girls' legs off. You've heard that story, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That Six Flags, there's some malfunction in like a cable just completely severed this girl's legs or feet. And then the whole park got shut down. But anyway, yeah.
Well,
John Cena was in the main event at Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom that year. And he is probably the only person on the card who ever amounted to anything at all.
Yeah, I might definitely have to go back and watch that show now. Let's go on my to-do list this week.
I might actually do it right now. I don't have anything going on. But yeah, so let's see. Oh, wow. Cena had a rough travel schedule that week, but I guess when you're getting paid his money, you can do these things. So who knows what sort of house shows he had, but he went from the Raw in Raleigh, probably did 2 or 3 house shows in the middle. Then he was in Louisville on Saturday, and then the Great American Bash was at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Nice.
So he had a heck of a travel schedule. And then his next show was at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut, which that might either be kind of closer or it might be really far, depending how you go.
Well, folks, that's your random update from a Raw in 2008.
From a Raw in 2008 that we were at.
Yeah, we were at.
By the way.
So.
How many shows have we actually been to?
Hmm.
It's not that many. It's got to be less than 5.
Yeah. We'll have to think about that.
Because obviously we were at that one. And then we were at Mania. And I don't know if we went to one in between.
I don't know if we did either.
And then we went to the MSG show, and that may be it.
Yeah. So.
And I haven't been to a heck of a lot more WWE shows than that. Well, just one that I can think of.
Well, I mean, like for me, where I'm at, they run Hershey, they'll run DC, they'll run, Baltimore, but usually have stuff going on.
Yeah, and there's nothing close to me. They ran a show in Norfolk back like August, right after I moved here, and I'm virtually certain they haven't been back.
Well, I guess this is about sort of ends the things.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about random shows as opposed to this one, we should probably call it a night.
Yeah, I think we can call deceased on this one.
Yeah, the referees give us the go home signal.
Yeah, we got to take it home. And so with that, wrestling fan, we appreciate you listening. Talk to you again next time.